Welcome back to Good Morning LaLa Land. We are so honored to have Nikki Haskell in the house.
Here I am.
We are not officially related by blood as far as the DNA, but we are definitely connected via spirit because she is the original OG of hosting, of interviewing, of all the above, socialite, an icon here in Hollywood. How are you, Nikki?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here. This is so much fun.
We're so happy to have you.
You guys are terrific. I love your team. I love the way you work together. It's fun.
Right? We took notes from you.
I hope so. I hope so.
Still taking notes.
You have lived quite the life.
I have.
You
and still do.
Right?
Yeah.
You're from Chicago, grew up at Beverly Hills High School, graduated from there.
Right.
You've been literally around the globe interviewing, having really a lot of fun. A ton of fun.
A ton of fun, without question. Because when I had, when I started my television show, it was in prehistoric cable. Do you know what I'm saying? You couldn't get a celebrity to go on to save your life. So, but I got everybody. The way I did it is I gave big parties every Friday night for a movie star, celebrity. They had a great list. We invited everybody, and it caught on. I traveled all over the world. The show was on for 6 years. Now it's on Amazon Prime. So, and it's great to look back. You do something 30 years ago, and in your mind you think, wow, it was really great. And then you look at it, it looks like terrible. But mine looks so great. I was so proud of it because I was the first person that ever interviewed Donald Trump. And I did the Trump Tower. That's why I have all the footage with. I've been friendly with Donald since 1971. I have the only interviews in the 80s with Andy Warhol. And all the footage from Studio 54.
Right? Absolutely iconic. We have a look at some of the footage from the show.
Oh, good. Okay.
Nikki, I've known you since you're real young, and I must tell you look magnificent.
Oh,
you're really beautiful. It's nice to be with you.
Well, it's glad that we all made it this far, isn't it?
I think so. That's very nice.
Great.
I think it is very nice. I'm happy for you too.
It's more of an unusual view. You never realize the scope of it until you actually have this view. Do you ever look at anything on the west side to do?
I really haven't. I am not really that familiar with the West Side.
Here we are at Studio 54 with the one, the only Steve Rebell. And I thank you for making all my evenings a lot more fun.
What can I say?
Oh, just say thank you. Plead guilty. The charges are flattering.
I don't plead guilty to any charge.
Now it must be so wonderful when you get out there and you sing New York and the crowd just stops. It must be a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I have to admit it really is.
And you're wonderful. And I'm glad we could be here together.
Thank you, Nikki.
At the $1 Million Evening.
Wow, you've lived quite a life. So this is my intention for you to come in because
Okay.
I think that so many people ask you about Donald Trump, about X, Y, and Z, about whomever you've interviewed. I don't want to go there. Where I really want to go is I want to know about you and what you've really learned out of this journey and what we can take away. Because a lot of people high in fame end up killing themselves, becoming drug addicts and doing whatever. So what have you learned through all these interviews?
Well, see, the interesting thing is I was a stockbroker. You have to understand, my mother wanted me to be born married. So I was never prepared to do anything. So it's like a fluke I ended up being a stockbroker among the first 5 female stockbrokers in the world. The only way I could keep the show on the air is I gave big parties every weekend. It was like, it's like I had no idea what I was doing. I was never educated in the field of television or anything else. And don't forget, in those days, I went to Rio de Janeiro with 120 pieces of equipment and 12 people. Now I could go with 2. You know what I'm saying? So I did it under an adverse sense of, but it was so easy because Pan Am was my sponsor and they used to give me free tickets and I used to go, and Rogers and Cowan was my PR firm, and they represented a lot of dictators. So I went to the Philippines with the Marcoses. I went to Chile with Pinochet. So I met all these interesting people, and I was never scripted. And sometimes I actually interviewed people, and I thought it was somebody else. That was, oh, you're that person.
There's something very special about you that you had the ability, without the training, to truly connect with countless celebrities, dictators. What is it, do you think, about yourself that allows you to create that connection?
Well, you know, I look at everyone as someone exciting. I don't see class distinction, color distinction, anything. To me, everybody's everybody. And I'm friendly with so many people and so many different things. It made it easy. I sat next to them. We talked about what they did. They talked about what they like to do. And they really opened up to me. And don't forget, I interviewed people in the middle of the night at Studio 54. They told me lots of things. They would tell me things.
Off the record.
You know, but it was because I was always wireless mic'd. And we'd play back the tapes in the morning with, oh my God, what did he just say? But it was like it was an amazing journey, because I mean, I never had any money to shoot the show, and it only perpetuated itself on parties. I did have some sponsors, but it was great. It was great fun. I was the first person to put fashion on television. Basically what it was an accounting of my life. I went to fashion shows, I went to parties, I went to lunches. See, Entertainment Tonight was a third person's view about how other people live. Mine was just firsthand. I just took the camera with me wherever I went, and it was great. And it was I met so many amazing people along the way and did so many fun things.
It seems like your mindset is what we all want. We want that mindset that only sees the perfection in things, only sees the things that are good about people. And we know that it can be good and it can be a downfall, right? Like, you know, I know people have given you a hard time for hanging out with Donald Trump, and we're not political. We're not going to go into that conversation here. But how do you deal with, you know, overcoming that and still seeing someone for what is good in them and what they do?
I'm always from the glass is, you know, is half full. I mean, it's never half empty for me. I see the best in everyone. You know, I'm a very good friend of mine. I said, you know, I think so-and-so is a criminal. He says, you know, some of my best friends were criminals. you know, you have to sort of see the best. I mean, of course, I'm very realistic and I'm very pragmatic about most things. But I really do see the best in everything. People always kid me about that. Don't you ever dislike anyone, Nikki? Basically, I don't. You know, and I'm not catty and I'm not petty. And, you know, you talk about my relationship with Donald Trump. I've known him since 1971. You know, I'm almost like a godparent to all of his children. Ivana's my closest friend. I was just with her in Saint-Tropez. You know, I think anybody should be able to vote for anyone they want to vote for. I don't care who you vote for. I'm a Democrat. I voted for the Clintons. I was at the White House with them. You know, it's your choice. We live in America. Donald's the president, so he's the president. If Hillary were the president, then she would be the president. So that's just the way it is, you know?
You've led such a colorful life and done all these incredible interviews. What's next for you? What is...
Well, you know, I'm working on another project now. We're doing a new show called The Flashback to the Future, where I re-interview sort of the same people that I interviewed in the 80s. Ironically enough, a lot of them are still alive and become very successful. And of course, I always like to do things in television. I do a lot. I've done 11 documentaries on Donald in Studio 54. I'm doing one on Wednesday. So, because my footage is so iconic, which is a miracle. I own it, and you know, normally if you had done something like that, the network would own it, or somebody else should have a partner. But nobody ever wanted to be my partner, so I ended up with all the footage. So it was sort of like, because you know, you could be partners with somebody, next thing you know, they have all your footage. They don't just send the footage over here. You never see it again. Right. So I saved it all, and it's worked out great. I had a exercise equipment called the Star Cruncher, which I use every day. It's a belt with cords. I've gotten a huge response for that, so I'm bringing that back on the market. I have a new invention that's called a Star Shooter. You know, all my products are Star. So this is a case for your phone that stands up and lights up and pulls out, makes into a selfie stick. It's very cool.
Oh my gosh, you're hilarious.
Why
so
Star?
How did you get this? How did you get this mindset? Were you born this way? Do you have a spiritual practice? Do you have some kind of thing that gets you in right mind?
You know what? I've always been focused, and my parents always gave me positive energy. You could do whatever you want, and I believed it, and I just did it. I mean, the fact that I was a stockbroker, when there were no women on Wall Street, I went to restaurants that said men only. I thought, oh, that doesn't mean me. I went right in. I mean, I've never gone to the back of a line in my life. To me, a line is something you go to the front of. I've always had that mindset. You know, every day is not perfect. My mother used to say, take good days and bad days and treat them the same. If I've found out, because I've had some really tough times. You know, I had StarCap business, and these football players came around, they were taking my product to mask steroids, and they sued me, and I went out. They put me out of business for no reason at all. You know what? You have to compartmentalize things. You have to take it and put it over there. I'll get back to you. Like the worst day, where everything it was like a major catastrophe. I looked in the mirror, I thought, you know, my hair really sort of looks great. I took all my ball gowns, I went down to my photographer and had my pictures taken. Sometimes you just have to say, you know, I'll get back to you later. And just get on with the day. You know, things work themselves out. They're never as bad as you think they're going to be. They're never as good as you think they're going to be. You know, of course, my romantic life sort of suffered over the years because I work so hard and I play so hard. I travel a lot and do a lot of things. And I lead a very exciting life. I've never stopped. I've never, you know, they said, oh, well, you know, get to be a certain age, you'll stop. Well, I am not at that age yet. I figure as long as I can get up and go and get up in the morning and get dressed and go out, I'm there.
Amen.
What surprised you most along this journey?
I think what surprised me most was the power that I have to propel myself into any situation. That I'm secure, I'm strong. You know, you never really know when you grow up. You know, I grew up in Beverly Hills, and it was great growing up here, and it gave me sort of a base for meeting so many people. And when I was a kid, my parents used to take me to nightclubs, so I saw Carmen Miranda and Jimmy Durante, and I mean, I had a very that kind of a childhood, so I was never afraid to do anything. And I was, as you said, my theme is, if you can't do it in high heels, I'm not interested.
Me neither.
So, but yeah, you've got to do it. You know, I mean, you've just got to be positive. You've just got to you can't let other people get you down. I mean, you had a conversation here about you must be around people that are positive energy. Because I don't want to hear that your car didn't work and that you fell on your face and that you know, you've got to make yourself count. You've got to be positive.
Well, a lot of people would, I mean, I think that there's kind of like two places you can go, and one is you can just choose that mindset that you're just going to focus on what's positive and you're going to go there, or you're going to have a life that you commit to a responsibility, whatever that is, taking on nonprofits or whatever that is. A lot of people would say if you're just positive, that's, you know, you're not looking at, like, you know, whatever it may be, people doing harm in the world. But I think it's just a choice, and I think it's beautiful that you've chosen to go that way.
But I see everything that goes on. Right. I see adversity, I see poverty, I see children being mistreated, I see everything. And being positive makes it easier to deal with these things. Yes, I don't like a lot of things that are going on. Yes, I voted for Donald Trump. I don't like everything that he does. I write him letters and tell him I don't like this, or people come to me and say, how can you allow this? I try to address situations. You know, I'm not living in a dream world where I think every minute is perfect. I try to make the best out of every situation. You know, I mean, it's like I got stuck in the elevator, okay, and I was late, and everybody was yelling at me. These gorgeous firemen came and took me out of the elevator. I thought, wow, this is not so bad. Picture, right?
That's the best
they held me across. They held me across their arms, and we took pictures like this and everything. You have to make the best out of every situation. You know, you have to make lemonade out of lemons. You know.
I love your
attitude. You have to really try. It's not easy because, you know, it's easy to say, well, you know, do this, but you don't understand what I'm going through. But I go through lots too. You know, I have a brother and nieces and nephews and business situations. Every day something goes wrong. It's just, you know, then everybody says, oh, you know, because the moon's in retrograde. To me, it seems like the moon's always in retrograde. Oh, you know, but you know, you have to just, okay, well, I have to just figure out how to work when the moon's in retrograde, you know?
So, Nikki, I have one last question for you, because you've been in this industry. I mean, you are the OG of all this stuff, really. I mean, you have just known and seen how important interviews are and how important it is to just get out there and enjoy life. Where do you think the industry's going? Where do you think, what's happening right now in the entertainment industry?
Well, first of all, I mean, do you get into the Me Too thing, or is that not your...
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I was always on the cutting edge, and I was always such a freedom fighter for women. And I think that women have made huge progress. And I think now we're at a point with this Me Too thing where they don't put a little tail on it, it's going to start backfiring for women. Because I hear people say, I'm not going to hire any more women. So when you think that 23% less CEO women this year than ever. So you've got to, like, you know, you can't get sucked into these things, you know? I mean, relationships are good and bad. I mean, what I used to think was flirting, you know, is now rape. You know? I mean, give me a break. I used to like it when a guy whistled at me and, you know, flirted with me a little bit. Now nobody's speaking to anyone. Men don't like women at all. They weren't that crazy about us to begin with.
Well, I mean, just let's just, like, whoa! Like, I know there's people that would be watching this like, whoa, hold the door. Like, come on, there's people that have literally been sexually assaulted, harassed, and so we want to honor those people. I don't want to not honor those people.
I'm the first person to fight for them. I've been fighting for women since I was the first woman among the first 5 female stockbrokers. It's up to the woman to take care of yourself. You don't go to a man's hotel room at 2 o'clock in the morning unless you're planning on sleeping with him. And that's the bottom line. You don't go to a hotel room at 2 o'clock in the morning. Why? You go meet him in the afternoon. Take someone with you. Always protect yourself.
There's many women that did not go to hotel rooms that got, you know, into
I'm not
bad
saying
situations.
that. I'm not saying that there isn't that moment. There are people that are being accosted. There are, I mean, you still have to take care of yourself. I mean, I've been in the most bizarre situations. I've always protected myself.
You've navigated it very gracefully.
You have to look over your shoulder at all times.
Absolutely.
You know, without question. I mean, and I feel very badly for the next generation of women. I think they're going to have it much tougher than we had it, because my generation paved the way for women. And now women are going to it's all going to come down on them. And I feel terrible about it.
Completely think that there's going to be entirely new ways of doing business, and women are creating, and we may be doing different things than CEOs. It may look completely different than the model of how business has been done. And so I know the perfection of it, and I agree that there is a backfire to all of it, but I do believe that there's something birthing that we don't know. And you have been such a light, and I do hold you in your inspiration of what you've been up to.
But you know, I believe that, you know, everything has to go to the extreme before it comes back to being normal. That is always said in there. I think that these women, the young women today, really have to be positive. They really have to set their goals higher than ever. You have to be smart, well-educated, and you have to always be a lady. It's up to the woman. You can't say, oh, I didn't get the job because everybody's falling by the wayside. Somebody's going to get that job. It might as well be you. So you have to treat it with respect. You have to treat it with knowledge. You can't just throw yourself into situations. And I mean, listen, I have so many women, young women, that come to me, which I'm flattered, and they say, how do I propel myself, you know, during these trying times? How do I get a job? Should I go to college? Should I get a job? What should I do? You know, everybody's different. College isn't for everyone. I didn't go to college. I just was going to get married and live happily ever after. I mean, whoever knew that I was, you know, going to do the things that I've done. And I think today there's so much insight and there's so many positive things. I'm surprised how women are today, the young girls today, really have no idea what's going on. In a way, with the internet, has even made it more complicated. Because when I was young, I mean, you just had to figure it out. You couldn't sort of dial it in, you know? And I think it's up to everyone. You have to give your children positive input. Negativity is the worst thing that you could have. Whether it's business, somebody's going to get the job. It might as well be you. You know, or somebody's going to get the boyfriend. You know,
it might as well be me.
Yeah, it might as well be me. I'm over here. You know? But you can't fall down on yourself. You must get up in the morning. I get up in the morning and I thank God every day for being here. How lucky am I to be alive and be well and be happy and have fun? It's up to us. So you have to talk to yourself and give yourself that spirit.
I absolutely love that. So one of the pieces of research that we're really familiar with these days is how important optimism is, and they found that optimism is more highly correlated with success in every area of your life than anything else. So I just love your positivity.
But it's the truth.
I love your optimism. It is.
You know, if you go into a job interview and you say to yourself, I'm not going to get this job, you're not going to get the job. If you go in there and you're positive, and you bring something to the table. You know, you can't just expect people to hire you just because you're a good dancer. You know, you have to bring something to the project. And we're in a situation now where everybody has got to really be responsible for themselves. You have to go in there and say, I own this. This is going to be my job. I'm going to bring something to you that you've never had before. You have to be, don't be afraid to, you know, to be positive. It's important. You have to make people, they want to hire you because they think that you're going to bring something to the table.
And I'd rather work with positive people.
Yeah,
honestly, right?
I mean,
it's so much better company.
I mean, I've worked with some of the craziest people in the history of the world. You know, when I started my television show, I had 2 fabulous gay guys that were Andy Warhol actually gave them to me. He said, here, take the DuPonts. And they were great. They had their own little niche, and they got us to Rio de Janeiro, and they could find the Robert De Niro in the middle of the night and all sorts of different things. You know, everybody sort of brought something to the table. I had, Cornelia Guest. I would come back to my office, and she was throwing pickles out the window, you know, but somehow we always got it done. You know, you have to stay on top of it. You have to make sure that everybody works well together. And if there's somebody there that you're having frictions with it, or either jealous or wants your boyfriend or wants your job or whatever it is, you have to sit down and talk to them and say, if you want to continue to have this job, you better get your act together because your life is on the line. Don't be afraid to tell people where you stand with them, because if you don't, it slides into the abyss, you know? You have to really stay focused, and you have to have communicate. You have to communicate with people. You have to tell them what you want, how you feel, what you need. You just can't express. And the other thing is, you never take anything for granted. Because if somebody tells you they're going to do something, it doesn't mean they're going to do it. Your time is not their time. Your desires are not their desires and their needs. They'll get around to it when they get around to it.
Nikki, when's the book coming out? That's what I want to know.
Well,
this feels like a, doesn't it?
What happened was I ended up, when I wrote my book, wrote my memoirs, Overdressed When Naked, we decided to make it into a screenplay. So now it's hopefully going to be a screenplay. And I'm working on a big project with Robert Evans now to do a movie. Hopefully we're going to get it done in the next couple months. So I'm doing lots of different things with lots of different people. That's very important too. You have to sort of spread yourself out. You can't just stay focused on one thing, because then you get sort of bogged down with it. You have to really get in there. It's, you know, I'm the most enthusiastic person there is, but if somebody tries to cross me or screw me or lie to me or something, your days are numbered.
No, never.
Don't cross me.
Well, you have to love our spirit. That's all I know.
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
Never give in, never give up,
and never take no for an answer.
Stay tuned. We'll be back with more on Good Morning La La Land.